Oh no, go right on ahead.
And she's in the academic advising department with Patty Griffin. And just out of curiosity, how many of you have advisees right now? Okay, so we do have a few that have advisees. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nikki, and then you can ask her some questions, and then we'll have Dr. Mintle come in and talk to you a little bit as well. So thank you for coming over.
Not a problem. One way I like to usually start these sessions, though, is if everybody could take a second and introduce themselves and what area you're in, just to kind of know who's from what and see if we can apply things a little bit more specifically to you. Would you mind starting us?
Jackie, special ed.
My name is Matt Clark. I teach in the Department of Informatics, Video and Film Production.
Dennis Reese, Communication Sciences and Disorders.
Claire Nickerson from the library.
My name is Abu Hassan. I'm in Department of Chemistry.
Valerie, you, nursing.
Jackie, and I'm in Department of Informatics.
Kim Chapel.
That's the American Expeditionary Force.
That's exactly what it is. Right, Jackie? Kim, that's what you tell people.
What I'm passing out to you is a copy of the university's academic advising syllabus. What we do, yep, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Oh wait, you should get.
Oh, she gave it to you. All right.
Here you go, have it back.
There you go.
Perfect. So what we do in the advising center is provide a variety of services to the different advisors on our campus. For the most part, Fort Hays is a faculty-based advising model. We have a few exceptions from that perspective. Myself, I'm a professional advisor and cover all of our exploratory or undecided students. And then we have our SEAC advisors, which cover a large bulk of our virtual college students. But outside of that, most of our students are receiving advisement from the faculty. So our job in the center is to help to train you and to be that support and backup for you so that when you have questions, you need resources, you don't know things, you have somewhere to go to be able to get those answers. So one of the things that we have done is created that academic advising syllabus, which outlines for you the different goals for advising at the university. So we pride ourselves on our academic advising at Fort Hays and really try to provide our students with the best possible services that we can. We also, however, are very adamant about the fact that advising is a shared responsibility. It is not your job as the advisor to take care of everything and to know all the answers and to put them in all of their classes. They have responsibilities as well and need to make sure that they're getting knowledge and bringing their goals, their thoughts and ideas to the table every single time that they meet with you. So the second page of that document outlines for you what we have down as the advisor responsibilities as well as what the advisee's responsibilities are. So as an advisor, your responsibility is to know your content area. Know what classes your students should be taking, know your program of study very well, and to be able to help them to direct their educational goals and career goals down the right path. So what we do to be able to assist you with that is we provide a variety of different trainings to get you up to speed with how things are done at the university. On that third page, there's a list of all of the different trainings that we offer to be able to assist you from that front. But every single semester, we offer different certificates for advisors to be able to complete to gain better knowledge on the technology in which we use. We use both, we use online advising notes. We have our Tiger Enroll system. We have an early alert system as well. And we provide training on those different systems both in the fall semester and the spring semester. With those trainings, you are capable, if you complete all four within a subgroup, you can achieve a certificate. And those certificates are documentation that you can put in your notebook if you're looking at pursuing tenure to be able to show the professional development and the growth that you're achieving within the area of advising. So in our fall semester, we always offer the technology certificate as well as a policy and ethics. So to be able to cover things like FERPA and Title IX, what your role and responsibility are in regards to those things as an academic advisor. Then in the spring, we offer the technology one again. We offer a career advising certificate and a special populations advising certificate. So those certificates you can start at any point in time. You don't have to have advisees assigned to you to be able to start the process. We would encourage you, if you know you're going to be advising at some point, start the process of those certificates as soon as possible, just so you have the knowledge once you do get your advisees to be able to hit the ground running. Currently, we are almost done with the technology one for the spring. However, if you wanted to attend that last one, you still could for the Tiger Early Alert System. And what our office will do for you is we track attendance for all of those different sessions. And if for some reason, based on your teaching schedule or other obligations you have at the university, if you can't complete a certificate in a given semester, we will track it for you over the course of the years at the university, and you can always come in and complete in different semesters. So if you started the technology one this spring, hit the early alert, came in, completed the other 3, this coming fall, we would issue your certificate to you at the end of the fall semester. So, but those professional development opportunities are a great way to, one, meet other advisors at the university and to be able to just get that backbone of knowledge of how things are done at the university, how the different technology pieces work, and the different resources that are available to you to be able to assist you so that you don't have to know everything, but so that you start to know the right people to get a hold of when you see issues so you can make those appropriate referrals. So, questions you have so far? The advising standpoint, like I said, we are faculty-based. Our office gives you the support for that. The other thing that our office does do is we offer the different career exploration services that are available on our campus. So students that are undecided, students that have declared your major, but maybe aren't necessarily the best fit, or they're questioning whether or not your major is the right fit for them. Our office provides services to be able to help to get them on the right academic track, to make sure that they're not wasting time and money, which no one wants to do at this point in time, but so that we can help them to find that right fit at the university. That becomes a really big service for programs that especially have specific recommendations or qualified admission to be able to get in their programs, education programs, nursing programs, or radiologic technology programs, where students have to meet certain criteria, and there's a good bulk of them that may be able to apply but don't necessarily get into those programs. Our office would be able to assist them with figuring out what are those alternative tracks that they could pursue while still at the university and maybe still reaching a similar goal, just not the exact specific one they started out with. So, questions on any of that? How many of you will be advising first-time freshmen? You know? So with first-time freshmen, we do have some different stipulations that they have to follow. The university implemented the Access to Success plan for all first-time freshmen that requires them to meet with their academic advisor 6 times over the course of the year. So in their first semester, they meet with you in the first 3 weeks, at midterm, and then again at pre-enrollment times. There are certain things that our office has outlined that you could be covering during those specific times, so that's information that we're always more than happy to share. If you're needing some guidelines on, okay, I'm seeing them 3 times, I know I helped with registration, but what other conversations should we be having to make sure the student's going to be successful? So the deadlines for the spring are in the advising syllabus for you, just in case you're unaware of those. We don't provide specific training on what you should be covering in those access meetings. However, we would be a great resource for you if you have questions or concerns regarding what you do with your students through that advising process. So that is something a little bit different.
Do you provide training for graduate
international graduate with
We do provide some training. Currently, we're not offering a certificate for them, but in the past we have. So if that's something that you're interested in, I will let Patty know, because Patty would be the one that runs those, being she's grad faculty as well, to be able to show you the different sides of that, and we work some different programming with the graduate school, so that way you know all of the different steps they're going through before they're ever admitted and in your door. So that's something I will bring up to her.
Yeah, I'm interested in that as well.
In the graduate program? Okay, fantastic. So what other questions do you have about advising at this standpoint?
Do you provide similar kind of services for international students?
For international students, yes, and there are advisors in our international student office that work specifically with them. However, one of the certificates that we offer this spring is how to advise international students, because you are facing a lot of different questions as far as what their visas are, what stipulations do they have, can they switch majors, how many hours do they need to be enrolled in to be able to maintain and stay in status while here. And that is something that we provide training on in the spring semester in collaboration with the International Student Services Office. So yes, we do. So student athletes is another special population that we provide specific training on, as well as transfer students. Knowing transfer students can be anything from one semester to they've spent 6 semesters somewhere else, and what their different scenarios look like and how to best assist them, what their auditing process looks like for transferring credit in, and what to anticipate from that standpoint. As advisors, you're not responsible for the auditing of their coursework. That is work that should be done in our registrar's office by our degree analyst and passed along to you. So you simply get to look at the information and go, this is how it fits into our program of study, and here's where your gaps are. You should never be the one that's sitting there going, okay, well, this class will fill here, this one comes in here. The registrar's office degrees analyst will do that work for you.
But sometimes you have students who enroll very, very late, and so their materials aren't always reviewed in time by the degree analyst. So you may be in a position where you're sort of making guesses, but as long as you tell the student, until we have the official degree analysis, I'm just trying to help you the best I can. And sometimes they forget what classes they've previously taken, sometimes they forget what grades they've had in them, and you may end up putting them in something that is an oops, but unless you have all the materials, you just have to do the best job you can. But
On the back page of the advising syllabus, there are some links to different spots on our website that could be beneficial to you. One thing that is on there is we do have a transfer database, so that if you're working with transfer students from community colleges and the degree analyst hasn't been able to audit, you would be able to go into that database and make a better educated guess on how that coursework would come in. There's a transfer database as well as a 4-year database that works typically really well with our on-campus students, because usually they're coming from a regional school to us. Where with our virtual students, you run into a few more issues because those students are coming from all over the world and we don't have everything on the website. But with your on-campus students, those are fantastic resources for you. The academic calendar is also listed on there. Our office, we do have a page that could assist you with having conversations about career goals and how those align with your specific department. We host the What Can I Do with a Major In page on our website that lists the different majors at the university and then the occupations that align with those specific areas. So if you have a student that's struggling to see all of the different options within your field, that's something that you could provide for them. We also offer a free career assessment tool in Tiger Tracks for all enrolled Fort Hays students that's called fhsumajors.com. It's a career assessment that surveys their interests, values, and academic history to be able to generate a top 10 majors list for them. So it's a great resource when you're doing the career advising and trying to help a student find exactly the right fit for things that may be outside of your realm. So that is another resource that is offered through our office for students. Yes?
What's Plan B?
Plan B advising, which is what our next certificate is working with those students that are looking for that backup plan. So I originally
Oh,
was
you mean
coming.
generically, it's what's your plan? Okay.
Yes,
Sorry,
what's
I
your
thought it was a
plan
new
B?
acronym.
So, no. Just from a standpoint of what is that backup plan? You started as nursing, weren't able to get in that program. What's going to be that next best fit that may allow you to achieve the same goal or very similar goals to what you started out with? So,
Valerie, we get a lot of, education gets a lot of nursing, and we have a lot of education that go to nursing. We seem to,
yes.
we seem to swap them a lot.
Yeah, I
Service.
Yeah.
actually have a similar kind of question. For example, a student has academic advisor,
Uh-huh.
but he or she came to you to do research. So she need to, what she will do, so she will have two advisor, or academic advisor, research advisor?
The only time, if they're coming in to do career exploration or different research, we would not be coded as an advisor for them
Oh, okay.
because we're working a very different process
Mhm.
with them. So we wouldn't be advising them on what courses to take based on their current major. We're simply looking at interests, values, their strengths and weaknesses, personality assessments, things of that nature, to talk about the broad spectrum of options that are available to them and trying to narrow that down from that perspective. The only time a student will end up with two academic advisors is if they're double majoring or if they have a major minor. And that's something that can cause some issues within Tiger Enroll because every advisor that is coded to a student has access to that student's records, which includes being able to approve and deny coursework. And university policies that you should only be approving the coursework for your specific content area. However, mistakes happen and sometimes things get approved by different advisors that don't necessarily know your specific content. Their minor advisor approved major coursework and you're going, okay, hold on. You shouldn't be going in this order of coursework so you don't qualify for these specific classes, and at that point in time, you have to work with the student, go back and adjust their schedule at that point in time. We do cover a lot of that in the Tiger Enroll training and how to handle those specific scenarios, but that's the only time a student would end up with multiple advisors is if they're double majoring, major minoring, or if they're going for one of the different certificates at the university, they would have that option as well. Our non-degree students on campus, the ones that are just taking a course here or there to be able to transfer back to their home institution, those students are advised out of our center. Dr. Griffin advises those students. The only exception is when they're a non-degree student trying to achieve a certificate, and then they're assigned to an advisor in that specific content area for the certificate. But if you ever have non-degree students popping up in your classes and you're wondering how or why or who's helping them, who's approving, Dr. Griffin would be the one to be able to answer those questions for you.
Did that answer your question about the research piece, or not really? So you have a student who's come to you and you're doing undergraduate research
Right.
with that student?
I
Yeah.
apologize.
And so is it that that student needs to be taking certain classes, or are you asking how do you work with that student with
How I
undergraduate?
work with that student?
Okay, so that would be a separate, there we go, there's another topic that we should be thinking about. How do you work with that undergraduate student?
But he already have his
He-
own advisor.
Yes, already has zone advisor,
Advisor.
and so really what you're doing is you're just working with that person
Yeah.
on the research aspects. You're
Right.
like a mentor.
Right.
Right. I
Business
mean,
mentor, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay, does that help?
Yeah.
So, and we can talk more about that.
I apologize.
No,
I
that's
misunderstood
okay.
your question.
That's okay.
So,
No, but what you went into is good, because they will have some students who are advised by more than one person. And what I usually did in those situations is if I would be the major advisor, but we have a lot of students who want to do Spanish, for example, and I don't know the secrets of all the Spanish courses, so I would work with the advisee and say, you need to go talk to the person up in the foreign language department and come back to me with what the courses are, and I'm relying on you to tell me what you should, and if I have questions, I mean, I can always call a person, but I would still approve those classes even though those are not my area of expertise. That's how I did it.
the one other area where you could step into that too with having multiple advisors is for those of you that have freshmen. Our freshmen are allowed to be able to take part in learning communities, which are groups of students that live and take classes together. and they have a faculty lead typically over that. And those faculty leads are also coded as advisors, however, they do not provide any academic advising. So they may be able to see things, but the leads of learning communities should not be approving, denying coursework. They shouldn't be enrolling those students unless they are the academic advisor for that area. So an example, our nursing department has a learning community called the Nightingale, which is specifically for nursing majors. So the faculty lead and the advisor for that is most likely the same person. They can approve those classes. However,
Spring is
Like
coming.
it, that was a good one.
No, spring is
Nikki,
coming.
Is it, are the students in the learning communities, are the courses that they're taking as freshmen, are they automatically still enrolled in those
Yes.
courses? So that may be something
Yes.
that
So-
you were planning to say that, I let it in.
So with the faculty leads, again, they should not be serving as advisors for first-time freshmen. With the learning communities, however, those students typically have one or two courses that they're required to be enrolled in as part of those communities, and those classes are automatically loaded onto their schedule and pre-approved. So those are courses you would never have to approve, and they're courses you should never approve a student dropping. For a student to drop out of the learning community, they have to speak with the coordinator of those, which is Brett Bruner, and he would be able to remove the student from the class, but they have to have that conversation to do that. So learning communities provide a little different advising perspective with them. And if you have questions on those, we can handle those case by case. We'll see a large influx most likely in how many students we have in those learning communities this year, because we have 18 learning communities, and there'll be, I believe it's between 15 to 20 students that's in each one of those groups. So there'll be a little bit of an influx. You're likely to see some of your freshman advisees in that specific scenario. As we get closer to
Doesn't apply
freshman,
you to it all.
so as we get closer to freshman pre-enrollment dates, we will offer some training sessions on how the enrollment dates should go, the things you should be covering during those meetings, and learning communities would be covered at that time so that you know how to handle that on that specific day.
Can they be enrolled in more than one learning community, or is it only one?
It is only one. So they can only max out in one. They have to pick and choose, and they do a matching process because typically a student will give a list of 3 or 4 that they're interested in, and then it's aligning from that standpoint. So, other questions I can answer at this point in time? So, again, I would encourage you to start working on the certificates if you know you'll be advising at some standpoint. I will also make sure that Dr. Griffin's aware that the graduate certificate is something that's desired, and we can see if we can get that back into action for those of you that will have graduate students as part of your advising load. So, otherwise, all of our contact information's on that advising syllabus. Use us. When you call our office, you will most likely get one of our student workers. They are fantastic at answering questions. If you can't get a hold of myself or Patty, don't be shy to ask them the question. More times than not, they tend to know the answers because they've heard them. They've heard the same questions enough times. So let us know how we can be of service to you. We're here to help. So
Maybe just an idea, far-fetched, but on occasion I get this, one of the different faculty members from different places, and they would like to do postdoc. They want to come as a postdoc student. And they say, oh, they would like to work with me as a postdoc student. So, but the thing is, we need to think about money and how to bring these people here. But is there discussion on that level? Like, I mean, maybe it's beyond, but they will be, technically speaking, scholars visiting campus. But how to?
That would be graduate. That would be Dr. Chapman. You
Yeah.
might want to visit with about that.
So yeah, I would say that's beyond our
And-
scope.
and
And
It would
on
be
occasion,
Dr.
graduate,
Rockwood's.
even the graduate student, we had a young fellow sitting at the students. He asked me about PhD,
Uh-huh.
and we do not have PhD in computer science or informatics.
We have one.
But,
We have one
Yeah,
doctorate
nursing.
in,
in nursing. We remember, we're a regional comprehensive university. We're not an R1
Yeah,
research, so we don't have those PhDs. And I know there was an idea to try and look at a doctorate in education, but that's certainly in the planning stages. And we have other Regents institutions that are offering those kinds of, so it might be good to sometimes refer them on to those places too.
Well, good luck.
With that, I'll turn it back to you.
That's perfect. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much. I don't know if Dr. Min wants to share today or not, because Dr. Min is fairly new, as you know. He's been here maybe a grand total of what,
He's hit the ground running.
He had, yeah, we thought about chipping in and buying you some like really good sneakers or tennis shoes because you run so much, but, and I can share a little bit about course evaluation, and then do you, but, you know,
Yeah, why don't you
it's
go
your,
ahead,
it's
and
your.
I'm still learning from you, so.
I'll talk to you a little bit about course evaluation, but because the majority of you are new. I know some of you were here part of last semester, so you might have heard when Dr. Crawford talked a little bit about institutional effectiveness. But Dr. Min is our new Assistant Vice President of Institutional Research, so he's your data guy.
Institutional effectiveness and
It's-
quality improvement.
And quality, okay, there you go.
I-E-Q-I. If you get that in your
IEQI.
head, then you can kind of figure out the rest of the words. I-E-Q-I.
Now, see, I still have that old title from Dr. Crawford in my mind. But anyway, part of his duties and responsibilities, which was what I'll talk to you about, are course evaluations. And that all falls under Dr. Min's office. In the past, learning technologies, we did the part of course evaluations where we just kind of set up the data collection period. And so we would upload that into our system called Digital Measures, and hopefully, actually I'll bring that up so you all will see this, because you're going to want to have access into your course evals. Let's see, what did we just do? So when you go into Tiger Central, you should, when you log in, you should be able, oops, sorry, it's a little touchy here. You should be able to locate an icon for digital measures, so. So up here in this corner right here is your digital measures icon. When you click on that, the Activity Insight is a electronic portfolio system that Kobe is using, but I think they're actually using TK20 now. And they may be using both, but that would be, we don't have anybody in the room. Well, I guess you are technically part of Kobe. Are you guys using, informatics, are you using TK20 or are you using this one?
Activity Insight's the only one that.
Okay, so then that's fine. But anyway, so when you come up here to this icon, you'll see the course eval link where you're gonna log in. So when you click on that, mine's gonna be different because mine goes, I don't have any courses loaded in here. So you will see a screen that looks like this that links you directly into your course evaluation. So you're gonna just wanna create your new report, and you'll have to list, whoops, sorry. You'll have to list your terms. See, there's not gonna be any data because I have to go into a different site as an administrator, so mine won't even look like this. But this is what yours will look like. And when you click on this, the terms that you have taught in the past, so since you all are all new, that will show up. It'll say something like Spring 1. Do we have anybody in here teaching online 8-week course Spring 1? Okay. So if you're teaching a 8-week course Spring, it'll say Spring 1. So you won't even see that. You'll go into, it'll say Spring 2017 Spring Complete Collection. And so that you'll have to remember to go in and change your term every time because The system itself, digital measures, will actually keep all of the data from previous semesters. So you'll just need to remember to do that. Okay? So, anyway, and again, I don't think this is gonna show, yeah. Yours will populate, if I went into it.
Maybe
it's gonna-
somebody would be willing to.
Well, they won't have, oh, did you teach in the previous semester?
I taught in the fall and I
Do,
have.
if you wanna.
Yeah, it's
if you
spring
want to-
semester, everybody should have their fall courses in it.
Oh, yes. So, but they'd have to log in under
But
their.
you can use mine if you want.
Okay,
That
does
might be
everybody
helpful, thank
access,
you,
let me
but,
kind
I
of
mean, I could do mine
ask
too.
real quick, has everyone accessed their course evals? And if you know, okay, do you want Claire to kind of show you just in case, or, yes, okay, go ahead, Claire. And while she's doing that, I'll,
I'll
Just
just log in.
need to
and
log
make sure
in
that-
and.
You need to log out and you should log
Yes.
in.
This is good because we come next week.
so she'll go ahead and do that. But you should be getting notifications, they were from me, now we get from Dr. Lynn about when,
You need to log
you know,
out.
course evaluations are gonna be scheduled to run.
Log out again. Just log out. No, you need to log out also.
All the way.
I did log out.
No, but
No,
one
you
more
have to get all
time.
the
The
way out
Tiger
to the
Central.
Tiger Central.
Sorry.
And from Tiger Central, at the very end, right. After
Sorry,
corner.
it's very difficult to see from this
And
angle.
it is
what
hard
I'm
to do
doing.
that.
Where's the lockout link?
The
Is
very
it
upper
It's a
corner,
touch
upper
screen,
corner
so
right there.
it's- Sign up. There you go.
Mm.
It's hard to see, I know, that's why I had to.
And now you can log in.
But one of the things that we ask for you to do is when we send out, Dr. Min will probably send this out for you for the spring one, there'll be a little message about notifying your students, letting your students know. The national average, and Dr. Min can correct me if I'm not incorrect, but is around 32. We usually run around 34, 36 for response rate from our students. But we've noticed we've implemented a different strategy with the China program because we're on a different system. Unfortunately, they could not use, you know, our system, but the digital measures, they had to use TK20. But they were really responsive about getting that message out to their students, and I can't remember, it was like 86% response rate, which is unheard of. Now, again, they took some class time and said, okay, we're gonna do this during your mobile device, because it was electronic as well, but they did do that. So, you know, we were real pleased. So you'll go in and you're gonna select your report, your course evaluation. You'll be able to do by a comparison for, sometimes if you're in the tenure track or your chair wants a comparison report, you can run that. But you'll click on your, well, I don't really want to pull up your report, but.
I don't care. It was positive.
It was positive, there you go. Claire says it's fine. So anyway, this is what's going to happen. When you see this term, it's automatically going to be the one that I set in there for that semester. So what is available, the most recent one was an intercession. So I get a lot of calls because they're like, well, I didn't teach intercession. You really just need to click on, and then you find the one that you want to run. So you'll have to click off of that preset one because it'll just keep going as, oops. It will just keep entering the ones that Dr. Min or I set in previously. But let's see, you said fall one complete. Well, you didn't
Not
teach fall
fall
one,
one,
so we'll just say fall complete collection. So this one is the 8-week. That's what you have to remember. The complete collection is the second 8 weeks and the whole 16 weeks. So select that. And then depending on what data you want to collect, I usually do the mean and the average. And what format, I usually run it in a PDF. Oops. And then just click Run Report. And you're going to see all of Claire's wonderful data.
I had one student who didn't like me.
That is the
rest
case
of
for
us.
everybody.
We don't have to pull it up. It's right here. So you can open and save your PDF and then send it to your your direct report, your chair, or in your case, your dean, and then we'll click out of that, so we're not showing all.
So you had a good response rate.
That's pretty good.
10 out of, yes, she did.
But I
Very
didn't
good.
have a lot of students.
Yeah, but that's really a very, very. good
That's a very high response rate. And-
Usually
and-
the ones who hate you are the ones who are going to
They hate you or they love you. It's the tweeners that don't always get in there and complete it.
Absolutely. So are there any questions? Okay, so hopefully this will be a process that'll be kind of intuitive a little bit as you go through. We're still here to assist, so don't, if you get confused, don't.
Is there, are the questions always the same?
The questions are, actually, I believe Dr. Min will be working with the provost and probably a committee. The question was, are the questions all the same? Is the
Over
instrument
time.
over the same? Is the instrument the same?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So for one of the schools I went, they changed from paper and fill in the box to this online IDA or something.
Yeah,
And it was really confusing and they had all new, how was the professor helped you, did this and give you critical thinking skills? They had no idea what the questions were about. And it was very traumatic when the change.
With the one set of questions, it sometimes will not give you a better picture if it is virtual, for example, if it is a lab classes, and it's just a faculty negotiation kind of thing. In fact, the Senate has to decide whether to keep one set for every different mode of classes, or do we really need different kind of set of questions? Maybe
or a baseline and
a
one that's
baseline and one additional
relates.
question just for that kind of class mode,
And do you have one where sometimes on one school they had it where I could ask a query and say, okay, here's my question. Give me 5 to 1 on it, or something like that.
We used to be able to add additional questions, but.
For your class.
Yeah, for your class, but not in, that's not the case anymore.
No, from my understanding, I've been here for 3 years, and from my understanding, Dr. Min is correct. It went through the questions. I don't know if Lori,
Way back.
okay, maybe even
Way
before
back,
you were.
even before me, these questions that we have were
we have to review the
approved
questions.
by. However, I don't know that I want to say they were necessarily approved by faculty senate, although that will be the case. They were sort of agreed to, and then I think once it got to a certain level, some things were maybe
Is it part of
reformed.
the MOA?
It's not part of the MOA, the exact questions, no.
But there is that. There is
And remember, Faculty Senate is an advisory body, although as a collective group, they can have quite a bit of say. AAUP is our bargaining unit for salary and working conditions, which advising is a piece of what we do, but they, not necessarily down to those fine details of what the questions are.
Okay, Kim had a question, then I'll.
Just a comment. I don't know if you're looking at the IDEA survey. It's out of Manhattan. I think
Yeah,
very large.
KSU.
Yes, KSU.
Yeah.
Fabulous, and it accounts for all the different types of courses. If it's a lab course, because the instructor has to go out and fill out the instrument first, and they fill out if it's a lab class, if I taught this class by lecture, if I taught this class by discussion or seminar or all of that.
Internships.
Yeah, and statistically, they account for all of those. It accounts for the time of day the student took it, whether the student wanted to take it or didn't want to take it.
It's the difference.
They account
Hungover.
for whether or not the student took it because it was a required class, they had to, or if they took it because they wanted to. They put all those in the calculations and give you a much clearer
So
picture.
basically, we have to adopt their set of questions. And also, we probably have to adopt their learning goals. I don't know, we're ready to do that. If we're, all for that,
They don't have a set of learning goals to it, but I think you have to, they run the reports and whatnot. Are we buy the software to run the reports or something like that. So there's some fee involved.
Yeah.
But it's a very good instrument, if I could just throw that in.
Well, it's good feedback, and that may be a person, and she'll probably strangle me later, but as you're looking at different instruments, that might.
Well, and it also a suggestion is you could go talk to your senator and your departments about these other instruments, or if you're interested in the university updating the current instrument or adopting a new one, whatever, and then that feedback will go back to the Senate.
Yeah, there is a committee that reviews some of these software. Today, before I got here, we were looking at what they call Campus Lab that has the course evaluation software like similar to digital measures. And the question can be that should we have the separate software for different purposes? Or should we adopt some comprehensive software that has like course evaluation, assessment, and strategic planning and all that, all in one together? You know, so I don't know. It's, you know.
Being a virtual instructor, yes, I would like to see an instrument that's more geared toward what I do. And the other one, I think people adapt it when they answer the question, they try to think of it in terms of, but still, I think I could, if we had some better crafted questions that are more geared toward the virtual world, I think we could get some better feedback and information.
Yeah,
And that would be beneficial for us as well, because with professional development, if we had some of that feedback, it would help guide some of the offerings that we could provide. So we look forward to that
I think
too.
one way, you know, like some other places, they have this mentor-mentee program where colleague professor comes to another colleague. Like I would come to your class for 15 minutes and then I would ask you to leave and I would talk to students at the end of the class and just get their feedback. It's, you know, and then the conversation is not critical or something, you know, I coach you on, but it's more like kind of figure out if there's something that, you know, like for example, some faculty give too much content and students are not able to comprehend. It's overwhelming. Or, you know, little things that could help that quality experience. You know,
So for those of you who are teaching face-to-face,
Face-to-face.
that's an option that you can even do now, and part of a peer observation piece,
and
that would be a
talking
great
to
idea.
students, you can then formulate the questions as far as what students actually look for.
Mhm.
Because, you know, and, you know, with virtual students, it's something that having conversation with the students somehow, you know,
Well,
like.
I actually gave my virtual students last semester, a third of the way through the semester and 2/3 of the way through the semester, I gave them an anonymous survey and,
On your own?
question,
Yeah.
on my own, sure.
Okay, yeah.
And that was, I think, very helpful, because I was able to determine things like, you know, how many hours per week were they actually spending on it, and, you know, did they like the technologies that I'd been experimenting with.
And we actually created a Susan Zavachek from our department a few years ago. We created a mid-year review. So it's just an informal that you could send out to your students, you know, questions that you could ask, and I'll share that with you as well. Just there again, it had no bearing upon, you know, going to, for your you know.
However, what I would strongly recommend, especially if you're teaching virtual, because the current advising evaluation that we have, our end of the term course evaluation form that we have, both of those, and the advising are really geared for face-to-face on campus. And it was developed quite a few years ago, and we have grown
Some of the
so much.
questions may not be
They're
pertinent
not
to
applicable.
virtual.
But you, for yourselves, like Claire did, and I did when I was going through tenure track, I created several surveys. Sometimes I even did it in my face-to-face classes at different intervals, just to gather formative feedback. And you can put that into your notebook as part of your teaching evaluation. So I would encourage you to do that. It will really help, especially if you have the one student who really drags down your scores if you're in a small class. And then people look at that, and you're supposed to, according to the directions, respond to any negative student comments in your tenure file. You know, you have these other things that can offset. Well, yeah, that's 1 out of 13. Here's the rest, or here's other things that they've said about me in formative assessments.
So I used on my midterm at put some questions about learning style, what were your things, and those are extra credit. Now, some don't even bother. Those, they need that extra 2 points. Others do, and then they get extra 2 points or whatever. But that one is the small incentive that, yes, they'll look at that. Then, of course, I ask my question, how do you spell the instructor's name? That one's always good, at least for you.
So you did also your own in the middle?
Yeah, I just put, it's fairly open-ended, you know, do you like lectures? What's your learning style? Do you like readings? Do you like in lab, just class discussions, hands-on? So some feedback to the different kinds of ways that I'm presenting the class, and also open-ended, well, what would you like to see?
I think something similar too.
So that one has been useful to me. It gives me some sense.
Sure.
And of course, there's all the ones who like to read, and then there are all the ones who hate to read, and you have to.
I wanted to do something similar when I was teaching. You know, I didn't want to wait till the end of the semester to be able to keep the
Because
better
then you can't do
learning
any
experience.
change.
Well, the other important thing about that is because each group of students, even though you may be teaching the same course each semester, the dynamics of the learner in that course varies. So when you have that type of formative feedback, then it gives you an opportunity to say, okay, let me step back. The majority of my population, they're better learners through this methodology. So, you know, I think that's very critical. I commend you for doing that. because
Dr. Min,
it's a
I
good
would
thing.
like to recommend to you, and as you're working with these committees, we really need institutionally a better process for the administration of these end-of-the-term course evaluations to make sure that it's valid, reliable, the questions need to be applicable. We need to do a better job of getting the response rates up, because we do have, unfortunately, situations where we may have an instructor who you know, brings food that day. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they may stay in the room when they're doing it. They may take them to a lab to do it, and all of those change the outcomes. And so as an institution, that's something that we should be working on. It's not for the new faculty to have to worry about, but it's something that we should be doing.
So at,
That's my mantra.
at one of my schools at Brooklyn College, the students had an incentive to fill out the form, is that they got to see their grades early. So if we had to get them in on the 15th, they wouldn't be released for at least a week after that, because they're,
And
if
we
you
have
made
talked-
it, you
we've
know,
talked
that
about
kind of
that.
stuff, and then they, okay, if you want to see it early, you have to fill out the form. And
And we have talked about that, and then, you know, because some said, well, why can't you just hold them? Well, legally, you can't hold them. I do want to share
Hold
something
them.
with you, not release their grade. You
Right,
can't
I mean,
leave-
totally,
yeah,
but this gave them early
just
access.
right, for a
So it
week,
was
which
like
I think is a good idea. Just real quick before you leave, one of the things I want you to be aware of, I've received a lot of questions over the last 3 years about why do we send out course evaluation so early? But it's based upon research and best practices. It's not that Dean Azar says, hey, we're gonna do it 2 weeks before. That has been protocol for Fort Hays, but it really is based upon best practices, and it's all research driven. Because we all do know that, you know, if you're teaching a 16-week course and for the 10, 12 weeks you've been doing a phenomenal job, and you know, you send out, then we'll send out the course evals. But some faculty will ask me, well, why did you wait till after the final exam? Well, you know, your students really can gauge and know how well you're teaching before that final exam. So anyway, I just wanted you to be aware of that, and in case that is brought up, that, you know, we have talked about that, and we've tried to send that message out. So we do, I'm not gonna lie to you, we do get several, no, I shouldn't say several, maybe half a dozen. Well, why do you keep sending them out so early? Well, it is best practice, and it is research driven, and so we do want of a valid data. So anyway, so what that was worth, I wanted you to be aware. That's why.
So if
why
after
it's
they
sent
get
out
the
early.
grade, then they're revenge.
Well, I mean,
Not that it's revenge, but once they are finished with final, they want to forget about everything that they were involved in.
that's
They
exactly
that's
right.
true.
absolutely no
Response
interest
rate
in
goes
doing something. So
That is correct. And then we do not release course evals until your grades have been submitted. So the students also know that. Sometimes I'll get an email about that from a student, so. Any other questions? Well, I have one last just quick survey question. Do you prefer afternoon or lunch? I'm an elementary
Dennis,
teacher. Raise your hand if you prefer lunch.
I'm good for both.
Lunch
Afternoon.
meeting's better for, okay.
It just depends on people's schedules, I think.
It does.
The
Well,
schedule is different every single week.
it does, yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. You're right.
yeah, especially when.
Every second semester.
Well, thank you all for coming over to our.
So I